Well, g'day again. You know what time it is? Time I friggin' stop friggin' around and finish bottling the rest of this beer, which means I gotta reopen that tap back up again. Oh, well, there we go. So, of course I made that post the other day. I was a little bit inebriated post. I made that video where I talked about atheists being fuckwits and all that. And, you know, I regret nothing because that's just how I roll. But I have noticed there's been one or two comments. I haven't really read them that closely. Hang on a second, I didn't come prepared. Yes I did. Here's what I made earlier. There's been one or two comments where people get a little bit upset. Oh, don't be one of these ones. Fuck. Fuck. Well, that was almost monumental fuck up. What I shall do in future is keep one of my grenade glasses, as somebody referred to them the other day as. That's a pretty cool name. It's a really nice beer, even though it looks a bit dingy. It's not a clear beer, this one, and it's got a little bit of a dirty flavour too, mind you. But that's because of the fact I don't make pure beer. I ad lib, I add extra ingredients, and it smells great and tastes great. A little bit dirty perhaps, but that's how I like my beer. I was going to say bitches, but I'm not like that. I'm not that sort of guy. I'm actually a really nice guy when you stay on my good side anyway. It's when these fuckwits go and delete a lot of hard work I do that I get pissed off. So, as I was thinking I was trying to say anyway, I'm not pissed off in general with atheists at all. You know, most of my good friends are atheists and we get along fine. I've got no agenda to try and convince them or convert them or do anything of the sort one way or the next. It's the last thing I want to do is change who somebody is. Whoever you are, however you are, be that person, but be authentic, be genuine and be learned. Understand what it is you believe in. Because this is the thing with you heliocentrists, which I once was one of as well. I used to believe I was on a spinning ball. I'd believe that. I'd watch the sunset regularly. And I'd convince myself in my head that as the planet is spinning away towards the east, the sun is disappearing in the west. I could feel no movement, of course, but visually, that's what I was perceiving, and so I believed it. I fully, genuinely felt I'm in tune with nature. I'm a nature lover in general. And for me to find out the earth is flat, it's highly disturbing. Highly disturbing. I mean, it physically hurt my brain to adapt to understanding that the earth is flat. But part of me already knew that because I see how flat the ocean is. Today, for example, I went and took a series of pictures. I haven't put them up yet or posted them anywhere, but maybe one of these days I'll learn how to edit a video and put the pictures together. But basically, I'm focusing on a certain place in Byron Bay, and I encourage any other people who are curious about flat Earth or globe Earth to do the same, because there's plenty of places where you'll get a really good view at this particular place. We call it Julian Rocks, or Julian's Rock. I think it's Julian Rocks because it's at least one rock, two rocks I should say. I don't know. There was a big debate about it many years ago and I forget what the result was. But basically Julian Rocks is this place, very visible from Byron Bay. Little island looking place. It's a great diving site for people that scuba dive. And from anywhere where you're on the beach, it is sitting at horizon level. When you get up a bit of elevation, you can see it's in the middle of the ocean. When you get up really high on some other places, which I'm going to go back to another place shortly and take some video as well, where you can see it's just this tiny dot in the middle of a speck of massive ocean. There's no curvature from one side of the horizon to the other. Go to the lighthouse, as I did roughly a year ago, and video the exactly flat horizon for at least 180 degrees. It's unimaginable number of miles how flat it is. Now, if the Earth is a curved sphere, it doesn't matter if you're only 30 foot up or 100 foot up or whatever, you are going to see some amount of curvature if it exists. Now, everybody thinks about this curvature existing out of sight, out of mind. But no, a sphere, even this isn't a sphere. Isn't that a beautiful word? Sphere. It's almost like sapphire, the word we actually use for Earth. Gaia, sapphire, a sphere. A sphere. See, this part here is level, but a sphere would keep on curving all the way around. And how the fuck it would hold water or a beer, Sophia beer, it wouldn't hold it. It cannot. Water finds its level and it gets contained by things with higher edges. Right, so now that I've satisfied that, I really got to bottle this beer. We don't want it to grow mold. Okay, so I posted that video about atheist fuckwits, and I mean that in no particular bias just towards atheists. I mean, fuckwits come in every size, variety, colour, creed, and whatever. But I find atheists in particular are usually the most biased, arrogant, quickly ready to block you fuckwits of them all. Which happens to me all the time. Every time I find a group where I start debating with people. And I love debating with intellectual people. See how orange my hand is? That's from all the turmeric I've just been using. I like to debate with intellectual people because there's no point debating with fucking morons that can't even spell you or what or there or to or whatever. You know, people with a bit of intellect make it worth your while having a debate. What I hate is having a debate for like usually it can last several hours, sometimes a day. Sometimes they let you stay around for a couple of days. But then what they do is they go and block you and ban your ass because they are freaking butthurt. They're so butthurt. They said, ugh, this guy's not the normal Bible basher idiot moron that we can make ourselves look intelligent with. He's actually making us look like fools. Which is what I do. I make you look like fools. And so instead of admitting you might be wrong or hanging around and having a debate and maybe changing your mind somewhere here or there, you just block me and delete me and make sure I can't come back and respond while you all sit there and have your fucking circle jerk like fucking jackals laughing in a pack and think you've won the day. We showed him. That'll teach him. Come to our page and try and spread some truth. So anyway, no, I don't know what name you are. All I know is apparently I got 9 comments when I last looked. That was this morning before I headed to work. And the only ones that showed was 4 comments, which is weird. So I'm just assuming what's happened is the other 5 who commented must have put a link on, because sometimes YouTube does that. It says potential spam because you've put a link in it. So I have to go and review it sometimes, and lately when I've had that happen, I can't even find the ones that might even be potential spam. So I'll get to you, don't worry. I'll get back to you all and answer you all individually, but for the moment I'm just going to give you a generic response, simply because I don't have that much time. I mean, it's freaking probably 8 o'clock already tonight, and I've been up since 4:30 after working till 9:30 last night, getting home at 10, taking the dog for a walk anyway. I'm a bit pushed for time. I'm time poor. I'm money poor. I'm happy and content. So, the first guy, he says something along these lines, and it's cracked me up. I'm fucking typical brain dead fucking moron. So, let me try and think what he said exactly. He says, why don't you charter a plane, take it to the edge and take pictures and prove it once and for all? And in fact, why don't you run charter groups and charge people $2,000 or $3,000 and make a living out of it, taking them to the edge? That's the fucking mentality of these dickheads. Yeah. You're a dickhead, mate. An absolute fucking brain dead moron. You're living in this day and age where ignorance is a choice. You came to my YouTube video and yet you're ignoring thousands, potentially millions of other YouTube videos out there that explain about the edge on the flat earth. And that is why anybody that even mentions it these days, I pretty much ignore, because you're so fucking stupid. You can't even do the first part of research and find out why there is no edge. Bottle, glass, swimming pool, lake, all of them have edges. Why the fuck would the ocean be any different? Why? Gravity. No. We all know gravity sucks. But it doesn't. There's no such thing as gravity. You know what's making the water stay in the glass? Density. You know what makes it fall out? Because I tip it into my mouth. You know why the water doesn't fall off the edge of the earth? Because there is no edge of the earth. That's the first thing you would already understand if you'd bothered to spend 5 minutes or a few hours at least investigating what it means to be on a flat earth. No edge. If there is an edge, the only edge we know is the edge of our ability to physically explore the realm that we're in, and the realm that we're in is contained by the outer rim of Antarctica, which is way out south, every direction from the centre North Pole. All the land masses are contained. Just look at the UN flag. That's what the flat earth looks like. All the land masses are centered around the North Pole, and everything out south, it's too far. It's too far, it's too cold, the weather is too extreme, temperatures, the lack of food, the lack of resources, the lack of anything to make it worth your while going there. You can't charter a plane out there because there's nowhere to refuel. How much fuel are you going to carry with you in a plane? Enough to travel for 12 hours? 24 hours? But then what? Then where are you going to fill up? All you're going to do is land in the ice and watch your passengers slowly eat each other until you're all dead. And that's the end of your adventure. You know, you haven't given it any thought whatsoever as to how you're going to find the edge, because you haven't investigated it. Investigate it. Look into the Operation High Jump. Look at what Admiral Byrd did when he took, I don't know, what was it, 40, 50,000 people plus, massive numbers of ships and planes and everything. And then what did they end up doing? They signed a treaty to say that Antarctica is no man's land and we won't go there anymore, and we're going to respect that. Because it's not an edge. It's a fucking barrier. It's a prison to keep us, savage human beings, contained in our savage prison where we belong until we can learn to actually be nice people. And now here's the thing, I'm really gonna, why I was calling atheists fuckwits, okay? I got 2 people even private message me on Facebook after spending the day on this free thinkers site, telling me to go and kill myself. This is what you lovely atheist people do. You think you're a good people with great morals, but you tell people to go and kill themselves because they have a difference of opinion from you, or they believe in something different from you, so they should kill themselves. That is really fucked up, you fuckwits. That's why I call you fuckwits. It's fucked up. Imagine if I was really, actually, highly strung and really ready to give up, and I had some dickwad like you tell me to do that. Would you feel good about yourself knowing that you actually encouraged somebody to commit murder? Because that's what you're doing. That's called cybercrime. It is a form of terrorism. It is actually a form of terrorism to encourage people to kill other people. And so you've committed a massive crime, and you should just be grateful that all I've done is fucking blocked you back, you fuckwits. Yeah, I reported a couple of you to Facebook. Facebook doesn't actually give you the opportunity to say, this guy was encouraging me to kill myself. All it does is gives you the opportunity to block the person and tell them to go fuck themselves. So, well, no, you don't do that once you block them. Anyway, I'm telling you now, go fuck yourself. I would never, ever encourage somebody to kill themselves, especially not just because they had a difference of opinion from me. I mean, I laugh at you globe heads. You want to believe in a spinning ball in a vacuum of space hanging onto an atmosphere? By all means, knock yourself out, you know. I used to believe in Santa Claus too. And the Tooth Fairy when I was a little child, but I grew up. So you fuckwits still believing in this big bang spinning ball and encouraging people to kill themselves because they believe differently, you are the fuckwits. And I make no apology for that whatsoever. But to most of you other atheists who are actually pretty decent people who don't encourage people to go kill themselves just because they have a different opinion, that's cool. We can still get along just fine. So here he is, this, I think I've already covered it now, haven't I? That fuckwit. Sorry, you're probably not a fuckwit, you're probably a half decent bloke if we ever actually sat down and had a beer together. But to encourage me to go become an entrepreneur and take people to the edge just because I believe in what I can see visually with my eyes, what I can test visually with every single amount of evidence that the earth is flat, apart from the things that say it's concave, that's just going a bit further than it's going too far, isn't it, the concave earth? All I know is that there are so many anomalies with the flat earth. Even though I think 85% of the evidence stacks up towards flat earth. 0.01% of the evidence stacks up towards the globe earth, and the rest stacks up towards the concave earth, simply because the amount of sunlight in our summer in the south doesn't work on the flat model. On the concave model it does. Been through that plenty of times, so I won't elaborate too much on that at the moment. What I might do is just pour the rest of this beer into this glass and show you, just show you what a master brewer I am. Look at that. Nobody makes homebrew like that. It's a big, thick, creamy head. Not quite a Guinness, but it's up there. This beer has herbal potential in it as well. I put some in every batch. It varies from batch to batch, and I am keeping a book these days, so I know what I put in it. But generally speaking, I put a bit of coffee, bit of guarana, bit of tribulus, bit of ginseng, a little bit of cocoa, a lot of malt. I put all sorts of stuff in here that are really good for general health and well-being. And looking at this one, I think it was when I was out of turmeric, because you can tell when you put turmeric in it, it has this dirty brown stain on the head. Doesn't look good, but it's bloody good for you. Bloody good stuff. So anyway, now I've got to put some lids on this shit. Ah, dear. I'm out of lids. That's a bit of a bugger. Well, that's alright. Let's concentrate on the next thing at hand. There's those headphones I was looking for. Let's just do some of these. let's do all of them. I might just pause this for 1 second. Right, now that that's pause is over. This is technically speaking, a 500ml bottle should have 7.5 mils. But what I've found from experience is undercarbonating is actually better than overcarbonating. So as you could have seen from that long neck bottle that I first opened, how that one fizzed up a little bit too much. That's what happens when you overcarbonate. As far as I'm concerned, a slight bit of fizz. I mean, the alcohol fermentation is already done anyway, so why bother overcarbonating just to make it all froth out and lose half your beer? No, you wouldn't. So these are all Grolsch bottles, be they as they may, 500 mils and 1.5 squirts. I'm just going to give them one, and it will still make a mighty fine beer. I guarantee it. Because as you get older and you get wiser, in fact, one of the first blokes, when I moved into the caravan down at Byron Bay, which I lived in for a couple of years, back to save some rent, he was a home brewer. He would bottle a third again as much as what I do. I do a 2 tin. That's a tin. I just happen to have one of those handy. They're a Cooper's tin. He'd do a triple batch, so he'd make 100 litres at a time. I'm only making about 55 litres at a time. But he'd make, 90. And he'd do it in such a way that it was a mid-strength beer. It was about 3.5% alcohol. I make mine a little bit stronger. I make it sort of more like 5 to 6% alcohol. I think I've even made a couple that were more like 8%. So the higher alcohol content, beer being by nature something that's still a living food product, it's going to actually keep fermenting inside the bottle regardless of how much extra sugar syrup you prime it with as well. So even if I didn't prime them, as long as they were sealed properly, they still wouldn't come out as a flat beer. But you want some amount of fizz in it. And I've noticed that with any commercial beer that I've bought, such as say Cooper's Red or Cooper's Sparkling Ale or something of that nature, because I wouldn't go throwing my money on crap beer, when you pop the lid you don't get a big fizz coming out, which shows that they probably don't even carbonate their bottles at all. Or if they do, it's very minimally. And that's, I think, one of the biggest problems with home brewing is you can put too much sugar in to prime your bottles. If you ever hear people where they get their bottles explode, too much sugar in the priming process. It basically turns it into a gas, carbon dioxide, and the more it expands, eventually, if it's too much, the glass can't hold it, because kaboom. Now there's an interesting topic. Shit, I'm running out of video already. Any fans of Breaking Bad who ever watched Hal making his beer and how he panicked that time when they started exploding, thinking he was getting invaded with somebody coming in with guns and shit. Well, isn't it interesting that he could make his homebrew with impunity, and yet he absolutely loses it when he finds out that Walter, his brother-in-law, is making meth. Now, sure enough, Walter is doing it for money, whereas Hal is brewing his homebrew just to impress his buddies. But he spends just as much time, and he's that much of a scientist about making his homebrew as what Walt is, except Walt's just really fucking smart. It's still a drug. Whatever you're doing drugs. You think you're not on drugs? Try stop taking everything for a moment. Oxygen is a drug. Your body reacts because you take oxygen. Everything is a drug. Fermented sugar, sure, it's a drug. But what isn't a drug? See you on the other side.